Welcome back to another episode of Void City Customization. I am Dan, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a custom DC Multiverse McFarlane Toys Lex Luthor figure. This is the version of Lex in his white suit that he is seen in the comics sometimes, and this is the one where he has the black glove on his right hand because the Kryptonite ring he has worn for years to keep Superman away, well, that radiation turns out it's not so good to be around human skin for long periods of time. Withered his hand away, looks all gross, wears a black glove over it. So that's kind of the version of Lex I wanted to go for here. Luckily, there were a bunch of different McFarlane toy figures that came together to make this one, so it fit all my criteria of being a 100% McFarlane Toys custom figure, and it was actually a pretty simple one to put together. So let's just jump right into it and I'll show you how I made this. So believe it or not, 5 or 6 figures went into making this guy. You could probably make it with less figures if you really wanted to. There's just a couple of parts where I had the extra pieces lying around, so I went the extra mile. You don't have to necessarily, but if you do have the pieces lying around, it does help. So anyways, primarily what the body of this guy is, this is Wildcard. This is a Fortnite figure from McFarlane Toys, and it is just, a guy in a white tuxedo basically. And so the body works very well as a generic body for anyone you need a suit or a tuxedo for. So what I did for him was I took his head off and I took his neck piece out as well, because he has like a black turtleneck looking neck piece in there. I didn't want that, so I took that out. I also took off his hand on this side, as well as the peg for his hand because it is white. And I also took off his hand on this side and the peg for it, which is white as well. And then I replaced it with a black peg, and then I put that hand back on because that's the glove he comes with. This is actually a hand from a Superman figure. I was just kind of looking for a left hand that was open, that fit the peg that goes in the wrist, and that's the one I came up with. The skin tone doesn't quite match. In the future, next time I'm doing face painting on any of these figures, I'll probably just match up that skin tone right there and fix that. But for now, it works fine for me. As for his shoes, these are different shoes than come with the Wildcard figure. These are actually the shoes that come with Takamura from Cyberpunk 2077. They are brown, I'm finding out, and in this lighting it's a little bit more visible, so I will probably spray those black at some point just to match the rest of the suit. It looks kind of weird, brown shoes with a white suit. But as far as the scale goes, they're a little bit better. They also fit the pegs for these stands right here because the Cyberpunk figures have the same stands. The Fortnite figures use a lot bigger of a peg on a different type of a stand altogether. And just the feet were a lot bigger and sort of stylized, a little bit cartoony. I didn't like how they looked, so that's why I went with the different shoes. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. The ones that comes with are black already, and they don't look that bad. They just, like I said, to me they looked a little bit big, so I changed them out. As for the neck here, again, it doesn't quite match the skin tone, but it's close enough for me at this point. That, I believe, comes from Jonesy, another Fortnite figure. That's as far as I can tell. I had just a neck randomly in my drawer full of heads and neck pieces. I'm fairly sure that comes from Jonesy. He's the only person I can think of that would have that kind of a neck piece, because most of the other McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse figures at least have the necks built onto the torso, with few exceptions, and the ones that do have a different type of a setup aren't this type of a neck. So there you have it. That's where that neck comes from. The head comes from the regular Lex Luthor figure that there is out there. It's the green power suit Lex Luthor. So I used that head just so that it matches up with the other Lex that's already existing and out there. And so now I can have him, or I can have him in the power suit. So that's pretty cool. Now, as you can see, he is taller in the power suit than he is in his regular suit. Some people might not like that. They might want to find another suited figure that's taller, like maybe the Bruce Wayne or the Clark Kent that I made in previous videos, and just paint the suit white or do it differently. I think this is fine this way. To me, the power suit should make him bigger. I mean, that's how it always works in any other medium we ever see. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is always one of the shortest guys in the room, and then he gets in the Iron Man suit and he's just as tall as, if not taller than, Captain America and Thor almost. And we're still supposed to believe that his feet are down here in this feet area, and yet his head is now suddenly 6 inches to a foot higher than it was before. If it works in the movies, then I think it can work in the comics, and it typically does. So I'm fine with that. It should make him bigger. He's trying to get bigger and stronger to fight Superman, so that's kind of the whole point of it. I like it that way. For his neck peg inside of there and for his wrist pegs, like I said, I switched all of those out. I just have a box at this point full of randoms, so I just picked out the ones that fit. Typically at this point, that's where I tell everyone it's up to their discretion, whichever ones fit the wrists that you have to work with, and whichever ones are the colors you want, and whichever ones make his head look as tall as you want it. So I had one on here previously that made his neck look a bit shorter. I didn't like it, so I put a bit longer of a peg in there, and now his head sticks up a bit taller, and I like it. Same with the wrists. I wanted this one to be black so it looked like his glove extended down, because it probably would, and I wanted this one to be a skin colored one, so I found one that fits, and it is. Now, because you know that I love to have some accessories with these guys, I did give him the backpack that comes with the wild card figure, which is this kind of briefcase here with a handcuff on it, and where that circle is on there on the side of it, there used to be a peg that plugged into his back right there. All the Fortnite guys have kind of custom backpacks that are themed with their outfit or their character, and I didn't really think Lex Luthor would run around with the shiny briefcase just stapled to his back, somehow magically attached to him. So I thought it would be much more appropriate he just was carrying it. I mean, it's got the cool handcuff detail painted and sculpted on there. It's pretty nice. It's got the molding and the clips on there, so that's a really cool case. I thought that was a really nice accessory, so I thought that he could carry that, and that could almost be like, you know, his lead-lined case that he would have his Kryptonite in. Well, I guess that means he needs some Kryptonite. So for that, I had another figure lying around, another Fortnite figure from McFarlane Toys called The Prisoner. Now, this figure I have for another custom I'm going to do someday. This one's going to be a whiles away, but we shall see. Either way, he's got these cool crystals that grow all over him on his shoulders and whatnot, and so I pulled one of those off of there, and I got some Testors transparent or translucent green paint, and I painted one of those crystals. And now that gives me a Kryptonite. So if you want, you could upturn his hand and he could hold that in his hand or whatever. I just figured it's Lex Luthor. He should come with at least some sort of a Kryptonite piece that he can have next to him somewhere. It's Lex. He always has Kryptonite. That's why he's always falling apart, and I'm pretty sure it's why his hair fell out. He'll never admit it, but you know, that's just Lex. That's how he is. One other fun thing I did was I had a Liu Kang hand sitting around because I had used the torso previously for the Death of Superman figure, and this hand has him kind of like doing a pointing type of a gesture. So it looks like this. I think that's a pretty cool looking little hand. However, the plug for it was too small for the wrist that I have on here. Here he is with his hand removed. So previously, this hand would not fit here because the plug was for a smaller wrist peg. So what I did was I got the drill. I found the drill bit that lined up with this peg right here, the same size. It was 9/64. And then I drilled this hole just a little bit bigger, and now it fits on here. Here's another hand that doesn't quite match up as far as skin tone, but I think it's kind of a funny looking hand for Lex Luthor. to just be like pointing accusingly at people. I just think it looks funny, especially with the sideways face and like he could be pointing. Oh, here you go. You know, mind over muscle, Superman. Mind over muscle. Just like Superman told Lex Luthor at the end of Superman 2, right after him and Lois finished murdering 3 people right in front of Lex, to let Lex know that if he ever crosses Superman again, Superman will do the same thing to him and leave him in the basement of the Fortress of Solitude, a frozen corpse forever, and no one will ever know, and him and Lois will laugh all the way back to Metropolis. Superman literally does this with a smile on his face, and Lex is like, whoa, I should have just left Superman alone. I should have just stayed living in the sewer for whatever reason. I, Lex Luthor, was living in the sewer with some guy named Otis and some chick named Miss Tessmacher. I had a big swimming pool in the sewer and a library. What was happening in that movie? Yeah, that'll about do it for this guy. Like I said, he was pretty simple kit bash pretty much there. There was no real customization needed at this point. Like I said, there's still some paint things I could do to him that I probably will, just because it does bother me that this hand is darker, or this hand doesn't quite match up, or that this neck doesn't match up to the face. Those are just small little things that on the shelf I don't necessarily notice, but here with the more direct lighting, it definitely stands out. So especially to the perfectionist in me, next time I have the paints out, I will definitely be touching those up so that they all match. But other than that, I think they look pretty darn good and came together to make a pretty darn good Lex Luthor. Here he is with Superman. Said he's still a bit shorter, and because of the camera he looks a little bit shorter even still, but you know, I kind of always picture Lex to be shorter. So there you go, a little bit of a face off there. I don't think they look that bad. Lex's hand looks a little bit long, but that hand always was kind of a long hand. It's just kind of the way his hand's shaped. He's not doing a full fist with his fingers, so if that makes sense. Probably just sounded weird. Oh, who knows? Well, there you go. Looks like Superman's learning why you never should ask what's in the box if you don't already know what's in the box, because looks like Lex had a little surprise. Either way, hope you guys like this figure. Kind of nice to have one that goes along with the power suit version where he's not all dressed up in the power suit, because, you know, Lex doesn't wear that thing all the time. You know, typically he's just wearing a suit and doing his evil from behind his desk in his tower. Either way, thanks for joining me today. Like and subscribe and hit that bell like always so that you can see any of our other customs coming up. Got a whole bunch on the way. Just finished a few more the other day and have a couple more just waiting for paint, and I'm pretty excited about some of these. So either way, stay tuned, and until next time, I am Dan and this is Void City Customs. Thanks for watching.